Hello there, what's crack? I'm not kidding. I'm Scotty, you're not. We're on to the next movie on my list. Well, I picked it from the list. It wasn't next on the list, but Vicious, which had its premiere at Fantastic Fest earlier this year. This had a history. It was supposed to come out in February of this year, then August, and then it got pushed to now on Paramount Plus. Supposed to go to theaters, then they changed their minds, and I think they were smart with that. Not that it's a bad movie at all, or that the quality is bad. I just don't think this would have worked in theaters. I don't think people would have. Oh, it's a psychological thriller horror movie starring Dakota Fanning. Not exactly what you put above a marquee, you know what I'm saying? So it went to Paramount Plus. And because it went to Paramount Plus, I had to put it on my list. So, yeah, so the plot of this is Dakota Fanning. She plays Polly. She's alone in a house. She gets a knock on the door, and the strange woman is there and comes in and have a kind of a weird conversation. Most conversations worse. Normal talk, but it just keeps getting weirder and weirder. Then the woman starts to act weird and leaves behind a box and tells her she's going to die. So now the whole rest of the movie is her trying to figure out what she's supposed to do with this box and how she's supposed to survive and and everything. It's one of those movies where it feels like they deliberately made this movie to confuse people. Like by the end of the movie, you don't have a complete story here. It's not really like it leaves off on a cliffhanger or anything, but it just doesn't feel like there was a conclusion. It just, all the stuff that's going on just ends, and then we're led to believe it's going to happen to someone else, but we don't. Why did it end? Like, I don't know. But I think for at least the first half of this, well, as I'm watching it, I'm liking it. And I said as I was watching through this, where it was going, I said, I need a good ending to this movie. Because, like, one of the first things that this thing says is, give me something you hate. And I'm like, oh, she hates herself or something. She's got to put her own heart in there or something. So she's going to end up dead. No, it's... You know what I'm saying? Something she hates, something she needs. I don't know. It's very confusing. But when it starts, because you start with this premise, you got Dakota Fanning, which, of course, I've never been the champion for. Well, growing up, she was one of the most annoying little girls. She was everywhere. Everywhere. She was good in push. She's a good actress. I'll give you that. I'll give her that. I just got annoyed about her being in everything growing up. Right? She's younger than me, obviously. But, like, yeah, they said she's 32 years old. I thought she was older than that. But, yeah. And she's staying in this house alone. Her name is Polly. And she gets a knock on the door. And this strange woman is there. They start having a conversation. And as I'm listening to the conversation, I'm going, why would you tell a stranger? Oh, do you have any family? You live here alone? Well, yeah, my sister, my folks have a new house. They gave me this one to live in. Oh, you have any siblings? You have a sister and how old's your niece? 6. Like, why would you tell this strange lady? I know she said she lives next door or whatever, but that turns out to be a fucking lie, I think. I don't know, maybe we should have. I don't know. But, like, then out of nowhere, and this is where it started to get creepy for me, where she's like, I'm going to do it now. And I'm like, what? She puts the box up. She goes, You're going to die. I mean, they got flashbacks of that movie with Cameron Diaz and Frank Langella. I think James Marsden's in that. I think. Haven't seen it, but I remember the trailers for The Box. That's what it was called. You're going to die tonight. I've never seen that movie, but that's why I flashed. I'm like, oh, Box. Okay. Now, I missed the part. Did she put the box outside in the middle of the street? Or did it end up out there? Because it ends up in the middle of the street. So there's a point where she calls her mom. Does something weird happen. And then she's like, well, just leave it. Ignore it, whatever. And I wasn't sure here. But, there's a moment where she goes upstairs. She's got to figure out what clothes she's going to wear to this job interview or something. And there's a song playing. I don't remember what the song was, but and the night before we go again, my baby. That song is playing. And there's just she's taking pictures of herself, see that she looks good. And there's a point where you see a view from behind her, and you see someone sneaking up. You don't know what it is, and then it cuts to the side view of her, and she's kind of looking on her phone or whatever, and then it shows front of her a little bit, but you don't see the back anymore, and then you see the side, and then you see a woman behind her, and it calls out her name. Find out that this is her mother. By the way, most of the characters here are done voice work. We do get to see some of them, but yeah. I thought that was really well done. It made me jump a little bit, But yeah, and then she calls her mom again, and this is when I'm like, no, this is not her mom. Because as soon as she called, I'm like, there's no way. Or did the mom call her? Whatever. I'm like, this is not her mom. And it turns out it's like, I'm not your mom. No. It says it needs something. There's a sand in the hourglass. Sand in the hourglass thing is what I was going to say. Hourglass. And she has till that runs out. And she has to play this game. What she has to do is, first thing is you have to get rid of something you hate. So she throws her pack of cigarettes in there. Right? Because she's smoking in this movie. And they're like, it's something you hate, not something you're supposed to hate. I kind of liked it a little bit. So, what it ends up being, because we don't learn much about her character, we learn that her dad died. And she's like, well, I prayed that you'd be fine, and you prayed that you'd be fine, and it didn't work, so she takes off this cross, and she goes, I hate this. And she puts it in there. That supposedly works, and now it's something that she needs, which she ends up cutting off one of her toes. But apparently, that's not what they meant. So she cuts off her finger, and I'm lost. I'm like, you need your toes more than you need your fingers, because if you don't have a finger, you lose one of your fingers, you can still grab stuff. You lose one of your toes, you might not have balance. You need to walk, I'm just confused. And then, I don't know how it does it. It starts to threaten her niece and her sister. So she leaves. And ends up going back to her, at one point, it won't let her leave. Because she leaves at one point to go outside, and it won't let her leave anymore. She can't even break a window, which I was like, okay, this is just bullshit. To make sure she doesn't leave the house, because we can't have her leave the house. She does leave later. She ends up leaving somehow when she finds out that her sister and her, because her sister calls. Oh, hey, you call? I didn't call you. Yeah, you called me. You called me and you said, oh no, there you are. I'm like, what? He's like, "Oh, you just pulled up." She says, "No, that's not me." And I'm like, wouldn't she know that she's on the phone? That's when she tries to leave and she can't leave. Her dad also calls. That's where we found out that he died. That's really all we learned, is that she has a sister and a niece and her mom and her dad died. That's really all. Apparently she's got mental issues. There's a whole thing about, when an old lady returns where it's like, I think they chose us because we're broken. And I'm just like, okay. She's like, because eventually, so she goes to her sister's house, and when she gets there, she thinks that they're dead. And then all of a sudden they're not dead, but then the little girl is possessed by the thing, and she ends up back at the house, and that's where the box ends up in that house, and she's trying to figure out what to do with that, and then she ends up back at her house. She's attacked by the old lady from earlier. When she asked, "Why me?" she goes, "I thought I just left my house, knocked on a random door, but I didn't. I think it chose us because we're broken." Like, this is at the point where she leaves her sister. I forgot a part. She leaves her sister's house, goes to one of the neighbors and knocks on the door. A girl answers. It's Annika from Scream 6. And she gives the box to her in the same manner that the lady did. And then she leaves. But then the box is still at her house later. The lady shows up with it and attacks her with it. And that's where the whole, I don't know. And the thing is still running out. And this is where I got confused. Like, okay, we're close to the ending here. The time runs out, and snap cut. It's the next morning. And the garbage men are picking up the garbage. And she's fine, despite saying that when the thing ran out, she would die. So she must have did what was needed. She goes outside and she sees the old lady using bringing up her trash. Her trash can. Okay. I think that's where that was supposed to be. I don't know. Gonna have to see from here. She drives over to her sister's house, and hey, the little girl's outside by herself. And I'm like, oh, that mom is dead, right? No, she's fine. And she's like, I'll be in a minute. So she stands in the middle of the road and lights a cigarette. And I'm like, she's gonna get hit by a car or some shit, right? It's not over. She gets hit by a car that, I don't know how that would fit in with the rest of the narrative, but I don't know. And her phone starts. First she goes over. I keep missing things. Before she lights a cigarette, she lights over. She goes over to the house where she gave the box, and I'm gonna call her Annika. Annika answers the door, and she's like, "Don't play the game." She's like, "What?" "Whatever it says, don't do it. Just give it back to me." She's like, "Do I know you?" "Look, I just got back with my parents. We were from vacation with my parents. We just got back." She's like, "Oh, and I don't know you." She's like, "Oh." I'm like, "Okay. So what?" So then I got confused again, because I'm like, well, if it was all in her head that she gave it away, that's where I'm like, oh, she's going to get hit because she's supposed to die when that ran out, and it ran out, she's going to die. She's going to get hit by a car, and that's the end. But she's standing there, she's smoking, and then her phone starts to vibrate, because we can do ringtones. So it's like, ding, 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 kind of ringtone, but she just lets it vibrate. And the camera moves over to the house with Annika in it, revealing that she was actually playing the game. She's missing some fingers, or a finger. Her parents are dead, and she wrote something on the walls. Right? Meaning it will continue. And then it just goes back to her standing in the thing, the street, smoking, and then it ends. I don't get it. What was the point? We don't learn anything about the box. Like, I haven't seen the box, but I assume from the trailers, I think there was some kind of investigation to figure out what it is, right? But because she's not allowed to leave her house for most of the movie, and every time she tries to do something else to get away or to try to contact someone, the box or whatever kind of entity stops her. She can't leave the house. She tries to call. It's never the person that she's calling. It's always them. So they got all their bases covered. Even if she tries to go on the internet, who knows if they'd let her. You know, it's one of those things where we got to make it ambiguous so we don't have to put any effort into explaining what it is. And that's what it feels like. It's like we can make it ambiguous as we want and put all this stuff in. She doesn't have to look up anything. She doesn't figure it out. No. Even when she tries to when they bring back the old lady, there's no explanation. It's just like, oh, you chose us. Cool. Why? Where did it come from? Who gave it to you? That's the question. You'd be like, okay, who gave it to you? We gotta go find who that is. We're in the climax now, so we don't have time for that. Right? Because the natural thing is when the box starts to act up, that's when she goes to the neighbor's house, knock on the door. She's like, no, I gave it to you. And they sit and they talk, right? Like, why'd you give it to me? I don't know. I thought it was a random choice, but maybe we were chosen. Who gave it to you? And they find that person. And they kind of link it back to figuring out where it came from. Hey, a plot, right? But no, because we don't have that kind of budget to bring in people. This felt like it was very low budget, actually. Let me look this up quick. See what the budget for this movie was. I might... that might help out with... because it's a very small cast. Very... small scale type situation, right? And there is some effort into this. The scares are done pretty well. The director was Brian Bertino. Dakota Fanning is great. And I like the atmosphere that it sets up. I just don't think it had an ending that... Okay. It's not giving me budget. Because it went Fantastic Fest. Really? They don't give you a budget for this thing? Let me Google search. What? N-A... Nothing. There's nothing. There's no box office. They did not release the budget. Okay. But I have to think. It's not that big a budget. I would say maybe $1 million for some of the scares they put in there, but like some of the gore is kind of gnarly. Like she gets stabbed in the arm with scissors. She cuts off her finger and her toe. That sort of thing. I see at least 1 million to 10 million, maybe in between there. I don't know. I don't think it'd be that big of a budget. Maybe, I don't know. At the end of the day, though, it doesn't really matter. I'll give this a middle of the road. I liked it, but the ending kind of disappointed me. That's 2 movies in a row I reviewed now, where the movie was good until the ending, and I was like, ah. Yeah. So what are your thoughts on Vicious? Comment so much, like, share, and subscribe. Thanks for watching. I'm Sky, and I'll see you in the next one.